Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. The search continues for that submersible that went missing while touring the Titanic's wreckage. 5 people are on board. The vessel's air supplies are dwindling, but there is renewed hope that crews will find survivors after sonar picked up banging sounds yesterday. That's the sentiment from Bill Diamond, a friend of one of the missing passengers, and his son from Pakistan.
I guess elated on the one hand. On the other hand, certainly aware that if they are alive and okay, you know, the fear and desperation must be just something unimaginable. But it's certainly very hopeful news, and we continue to hope for an amazing outcome here.
The Coast Guard relocated resources to explore the sound's origin, but nothing has been found yet, with time running out. WYMT's Olivia Calfee will have more about this from the perspective of a Pike County native coming up at 6. We are learning more about DNA evidence against Bryan Kohberger, the suspect accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students last year. A court filing last week claims Kohberger's DNA was compared to DNA collected from the knife sheath found at the crime scene, and the STR analysis was a statistical match. Prosecutors said in their filing it's, quote, at least 5 octillion times more likely to be Kohberger's DNA than a random individual. U.S. Supreme Court justices are expected to decide whether a high-profile Second Amendment case should be added next term tomorrow. The case focuses on a federal law that bans people with domestic violence restraining orders from having guns. 1 year ago, the High Court issued a landmark opinion that marked the broadest expansion of gun rights in a decade, prompting lower courts to reconsider thousands of gun restrictions. House Republicans are claiming the Department of Justice is operating under a 2-tier system, one for Democrats and a much harsher one for Republicans. Today, the special counsel chosen by President Trump's Attorney General to report on the FBI's investigation of Trump's 2016 campaign was on Capitol Hill to testify about what he found. CBS's Skylar Henry reports.
Special counsel John Durham told lawmakers the FBI acted too quickly, launching its probe of Trump's 2016 presidential campaign and possible ties to Russia.
The FBI was too willing to accept and use politically funded and uncorroborated opposition research, such as the Steele dossier.
Democrats say Durham spent almost 4 years and more than $6 million investigating the FBI with nothing to show for it.
You only filed 3 criminal cases. You only brought 2 cases to trial, correct?
Correct.
And you lost all the cases you brought to trial, correct?
Correct.
And the one conviction that you obtained, the defendant pleaded guilty to a single count and never went to trial, correct?
Correct.
But Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz accused Durham of tanking his own investigation.
I think that John Durham has been part of inoculating the deep state. I think he's in on it. I think he's part of the cover-up.
Most Republican lawmakers used the hearing to accuse President Biden of weaponizing the DOJ and FBI to attack his political opponents.
They pointed to the plea deal for Hunter Biden. The president's son plans to plead guilty to 2 tax charges and will likely receive probation, versus the criminal case being brought against former President Trump for his handling of government records.
Now we have an indictment of a former president who's winning in every single poll by his opponent's Justice Department.
The White House denies those claims, saying the DOJ acts independently. And they also point out that the U.S. attorney prosecuting Hunter Biden was appointed by former President Trump. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
A judge still has to sign off on Hunter Biden's plea deal to make it official, while federal judge Eileen Cannon has set an August 14th trial date for the Trump case. But most expect Trump's lawyers to ask for more time to prepare their case. President Biden is getting ready to kick off another Investing in America blitz. Monday, he's set to make an infrastructure funding announcement ahead of a 3-week tour across the country. The White House says from June 26th through July 15th, the president will travel to different communities promoting how they benefit from some of his accomplishments. A new report from the National Assessment of Educational Progress says the average test scores for 13-year-olds are declining. Education leaders say the coronavirus pandemic is a big reason for that. Researchers assessed students from October to December of the 2022-23 school year. They then compared that assessment to the one administered during the 2019-2020 school year. They found last year's test scores were down 4 points in reading and 9 points in math. A push to improve the mental health of students. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill want to provide more access to mental health professionals to help deal with everyday stress they experience in school. WYMT Washington News Bureau reporter Peter Zampa talked with the senator leading the effort and a student welcoming the attention.
You're trying to understand and process so much about yourself and about where you come from.
It's a mental health journey, according to Jalen Smith. The Valdosta State University student says his journey began a year ago. That's when he became aware of his struggles. He says growing up in a community where prayer and family were meant to fix all, a stigma came with seeking professional help.
I didn't have that help or that understanding, and I didn't find true mental health support until I came to college.
Shakidra Harris is a mental health counselor. Between the pandemic, internet exposure, and gun violence, Harris notices increased mental health problems beginning earlier for kids.
Our children need access to trained mental health professionals because, like our emotions are real, theirs are too.
Georgia Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock reintroduced legislation called the ASSIST Act that would help schools increase the number of mental health and substance use disorder professionals on campus, paid for under Medicaid.
Children are dealing with a whole range of pressures that my generation didn't know, quite frankly. And we've got to provide the resources to meet this moment.
Now, Warnock initially introduced this legislation last year, but it stalled out here on Capitol Hill. And with no Republican co-sponsors as of now, it's unclear whether this renewed effort will fare any differently. Now, the bill is waiting in the Senate Finance Committee for approval before it heads to the Senate floor for a full vote. There's also companion legislation in the House. Reporting in Washington, I'm Peter Zampa.
Well, we continue to see a rather cloudy picture outside today. Yeah, we've seen a little bit of sunshine here in Hazard, bumping those temperatures up into the mid-70s, but we still have plenty of clouds in place. Those clouds have kept many of us cooler. We're only 68 in Logan, 67 Prestonsburg, 66 in Grundy. Further out to the west, where we've seen a little bit more sunshine, 70s, middle 70s, as a matter of fact, near Lake Cumberland. Irvin is flirting with 80 out there right now, and those dew points are in the low to mid 60s in many spots. Look at the dew point in Somerset, 70. Sure feels like the first day of summer when you factor in the humidity, even though it's cooler than it should be. Still watching some downpours south of Sandy Hook, parts of Elliott County over into Morgan County, northern parts of Magoffin County, and some heavier downpours near Campton, south of the Mountain Parkway there into portions of Wolfe County. A few more showers sneaking on into portions of Knox County at this point, moving toward Girdler. Yeah, everything here is moving off to the west. We had some downpours near Mount Victory, between Somerset and Burnside. They're gone, but we're going to continue to watch as these showers pivot into the region through the nighttime hours tonight. So your forecast first through the evening hours. Yeah, we're going to see those showers with us down into the mid 60s as we head into tonight. The mugginess continues for the next few days, Steve, and I'll have the details in just a few.
All right, Evan, thanks. A Central Kentucky Police Department recently shared a Facebook post telling drivers to be mindful of what they put on their cars. Safety is on many people's minds these days, and Georgetown police officer Josh Nash says choosing the wrong bumper stickers could be potentially dangerous.
Criminals who are looking for opportunities to commit theft, they'll take those things and use that to kind of plan out what their next move is.
Nash also says the more personalized the decals are, the more dangerous they are capable of being. But not all stickers are deemed unsafe. He advises that when picking decor for your vehicle, to make sure it's something that does not apply to your personal life. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, young adults are perceived to be more tech savvy because they grew